Hi! Welcome to this part of my review featuring the Violet Sky role-playing game. If you haven't seen part 1 of my review featuring this Post-Apocaweird RPG, please check out the playlist in the description below. This time we are going to talk about vocations. These are kinda like character classes or archetypes in other role-playing games. First we have the Beastmaster. Beastmasters train animals and various beasts that roam the wastelands. Most of them work for powerful leaders who wish to have an army of beasts under their command. But in reality, your pupils will only listen to you in the end. Just like most Beastmasters, you probably wander the world because you grew tired of forcing animals to do stuff. You want to be free, like the birds you see flying below the violet clouds. You start with various pieces of equipment, such as a chain, whip, a thick vest, muzzle, and other things. You also start with a trained animal depending on your choice. Let's talk about the Beastmaster tricks and choices. Perhaps you specialize in training dogs. A dog is still a man's best friend, and you start out with a bag of dry doggy treats. Perhaps you specialize in using hawks. Hawks can carry messages and are great hunting companions. With this, you start with a leather tube to store letters. When it comes to tricks, you have things such as Wild Link. Whenever your animal performs a check and you want to give them an additional d20 with an invention token, in this case they get 2 d20s instead. You may also use desperation tokens to quickly patch up bruises and injuries of adjacent animals. They restore 2d4 of stamina. You also have mutated nose. Your nose has mutated over the years. You are always able to smell poison, for example in food, toxins, or the smell of other people. Perhaps you may smell a piece of clothing and determine who wore it, if you know the smell of that person. You also have a story question to further flesh out your background. For whom or why did you train animals? And why did you take this animal specifically on your journey? Then we have the Cleaner. Cleaners are not responsible for cleaning toilets, at least not anymore. These people patrol and clean up sewers, abandoned buildings, and almost forgotten ruins. What do they clean up after? Well, everything that's dangerous, mutants, toxic waste, or dangerous artifacts. It's not the best job in the world, but the pay is nice. And if you are lucky, you can grab some nice stuff during the patrol. You start out with various pieces of equipment, such as short swords, a trash shield, simple traps. When it comes to cleaner tricks and choices, you have some interesting choices. What were you cleaning before? Perhaps the sewers. Well, at least now you don't care if someone stinks, and you are probably immune to every disease in the world. You start out with reinforced boots if you take this choice. Perhaps you were cleaning an underground base. This place was weird, but it was filled with pretty cool techno crap that fetched a nice price. You even found a sweet weapon back there. With this choice, you start out with a lightning pistol and batteries. Concerning tricks, there are things such as Tunnel Rat. Whenever you try to spot or bypass something underground, you get a bonus to do that. There is also Dungeon Lord. Traps you place deal additional 1d4 damage. Between sessions, you may also spend an amount of scrap to construct one trap, according to a table, dealing different amounts of damage. Concerning your story question, which place did you clean? And who did you work with? What happened to them? Then we have the Doctor. Here's the bad news. Medical schools do not exist anymore, and nobody can say they are legally a doctor. And here's the good news. Without those pesky medical schools, nobody is talking about morals, and people actually interested in medicine can start any researches they want. Some of them are actually helpful. So anyway, you choose to become a doctor, that's great. You can do a lot of good in this world with your medical knowledge that you got from somewhere. Or you can become one of those crazy scientists that do experiments on mutants or their own body, trying to discover the limits mortals can handle. So as you can see, this is pretty much mainstream medicine nowadays. You start out with different pieces of equipment, such as ointments, scalpels, or syringes filled with toxins. When it comes to doctor tricks, you have things such as surgeon. You want to know how the human body works and to make it work better. When it comes to extra equipment, you start with a diamond-coated scalpel blade. It gets a bonus to damage. Maybe you are an implant specialist. The flesh is so weak. You seek ways to replace it with something better. You start out with an implant kit. Concerning tricks, there is panic healing. You may use an invention token to use an ointment or bandage as a quick action. If a desperation token was used, you may do this as a turbo action instead. There are also toxins. All your weapons are covered in toxins and medical waste, as long as you have your syringes at your side. Whenever you deal damage to someone with a weapon, they also get a toxin token. A character can only have one toxin token, and it is removed after they rest. If a character with this token would be dealt damage by any source, they suffer additional damage. Concerning your story question, who taught you how to stitch people together? And where did you work back then? Then we have the driver. Drivers try to prevent this world from falling apart by transporting wares and people with the help of trucks, boats, planes, or fast motorcycles. These are, however, just examples, as much more insane transportation methods also exist in the ruined Europe. Not all drivers are, however, suicidal Samaritans, who help to get everyone from A to B, while avoiding legions of bandits, techno-barbarians, and other nasty stuff. Some have just chosen the ancient highways as their home. They drive towards the sunset and believe that something great exists beyond the violet horizon. You start out with a junk car, a canister, heavy goggles, a pistol, just to name a few things. When it comes to driver tricks and choices, perhaps you specialize in driving cars. Is there a better sight than a shiny car body, and is there a better feeling than a leather-bound steering wheel? Your extra equipment is an upgraded car. Perhaps you specialize in using boats. You, some beer, a fishing rod, and a yacht in the middle of a lake. That's the life. Now you just need the boat, the fishing rod, and some beer. But you do start with a boat. It is docked near the nearest water source. Concerning tricks, you have Speed Freak. When you use a desperation token to get a d20 to a speed roll, you get an extra d20. There is also Courier. During any rest, you may pick any item or package you have in your equipment and secure it. This item now cannot be stolen from you, and you cannot drop it by accident or being forced to do it. You can have only one item secured like this at a time. Concerning your story question, who did you drive for in the past and what did you transport? And this concludes this part of the review. In the next part we are going to take a look at other vocations. I like these vocations. Some of them are quite specialized. When it comes to the Beastmaster, they are perfect when it comes to interacting with creatures in the wastelands, and you also make some interesting combinations with your pet or with your companion. You're going to be handling all sorts of checks and perhaps attacks in battle situations, but there are other choices, like for example, if you specialize in driving cows, they could serve as mounts or as sources of milk. When it comes to the Cleaner, this is a perfect candidate for someone to act as a scout, especially because you are very capable when dealing with traps and dark places. The Doctor is there to harm your enemies, but also to cure you. The Driver is perhaps the most specialized of these occupations or vocations, because in situations or places where vehicles are not exactly viable, for example, you're not always going to be able to employ your boat, but when you do, you're going to be the star of the show when it comes to transporting things or people and making some spectacular maneuvers behind the wheel. Thank you for watching this part of the review. If you have any comments or questions, please let me know. And thank you so much to those of you that have been supporting the channel by sending drive-thru RPG gift certificates. If anyone else wants to further support the channel, the information on how to do that will be in the description below. Once again, thank you, and see you later.